I'm Rich.
I'm John.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Othello.
He caught it.
He caught
You're stealing my deal.
But and by our fandoms combined, we're fandom united. All right, so there's some things that we want to get into this week. The very first thing is we want to say R.I.P. Rest in power to John Witherspoon. Pops.
We salute you.
Yes, we do. We salute you, Granddad.
Pour out some hot sauce on the burrito for him.
Put some hot sauce on your burrito.
Bang, 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 bang.
Yes. And remember, you got to coordinate. Man, he gave me some of the funniest moments on movies that were just so completely unexpected. And his characters, regardless of whether or not he was a star, always ended up being my favorite character.
He stole the show quite often. Yeah.
Yes. And he's so funny. And here's some of his stories about what he used to call the Chitlin circuit back in the day with him and Richard Pryor and Paul Mooney and those guys traveling around doing comedy is just some of the best stories ever that you can hear. Mm-hmm. So much love and peace to his family. And man, I really wanted that news to be a hoax today when I heard that. Yeah. I just knew that was like, oh, that's fake. And I was like, oh, I'm starting to see that everywhere. Oh, that's real. Oh, Deadline reported it. Dang, that's real. Sucked. So, R.I.P. John Witherspoon. The Boondocks just ain't gonna be the same without him.
I was gonna ask that, but I don't want to veer off.
I don't know
what's gonna happen with the Boondocks now that he's gone.
I don't know. I really don't, and it sucks because to me he's an integral part of it. It's not just Regina King, playing Huey and Riley. It's also him being their granddad that makes it for me. So now I'm gonna just go back and start watching the originals again. Speaking of Regina King, though, who's
Segway.
who's been watching the Watchmen?
I think we all have.
I haven't seen the second episode. I've had a busy couple of days, but I'm looking forward to it.
Fair enough. We could talk about why I haven't watched Raising Dion yet. I like it. I don't know. I'm trying not to like it. Like people think, oh, he's a Marvel guy. He just hates DC stuff. No. I've always liked the movie. I liked the Watchmen movie. I liked the book. I mean, it is probably one of the most boring graphic novels you could ever read. If you skip all the Ship of Terror, the pirate ship story parts in there, much better read. That's just, but I like the show. I like the continuation of the story from the graphic novel, like where they're going with it. Like the graphic novel was the Cold War, and this is basically the Cold War of racism that's kind of boiling underneath the surface in this country right now, and they're really topical to me, and they're really talking about it. But Aaron, you're a big fan of it too.
I don't usually get into political stuff. It turns me off pretty quickly. But Watchmen is political in all the right ways, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah.
It hits some topics that honestly I think need to be discussed, and it goes about it the right way. And as we had discussed earlier, it teaches a history lesson that most people have no idea about.
I had no idea about the Tulsa, Oklahoma race riot back in, was it 1921?
Remember the exact
date. And they did it in such a way at just starting off the whole series with it that you instantly are sucked into what was happening and felt for all of the people that were slaughtered essentially by the KKK.
It was more than just KKK. It was police. It was
I saw an army plane.
Oh yeah,
they were bombed.
But one of the things that episode made me realize is because my wife and I were like, she was like, she looked at me and she goes, did that really happen? I'm like, no, babe, no. There's no way that there was an attack like that on black people in Oklahoma and nobody's ever heard about it and ever talked about it. I paid attention during Black History Month. We didn't talk about that. So no, that didn't happen. That's just something they did for the show. So she, not believing me, smart woman, looks it up on her phone and realizes that I am not the expert on all things black because I went to public school in Colorado. So,
well, I went to public school in St. Louis City. And
so
my social teacher, Mr. Jackson, taught us a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't learn that. Like my public school upbringing for Black History Month, number one, was 2 weeks. And did we even talk about Malcolm X? No, because we didn't talk about comic books and the X-Men. So I didn't even know about Malcolm X until Denzel Washington did a movie when I was like in high school. Like, what? What's this movie Denzel Washington's in? What's this about? I'm not. It sounds funny, but it's true. It's a damn shame. So, I curse. My kids are gonna be like, oh, Mom, Dad said a bad word. Well, public education sucks, so I'm unhappy about it. So get over it. So anyway, yeah, definitely things that need to be talked about.
There was a part in the second episode that they snuck in that actually was like really kind of hit hard. When she goes into the reparations like museum, and it's showing the holograms talking, and there's the military black man, and he's like, we wore our uniforms because we thought, no, there's no way they would shoot a man in uniform, and like that touched me.
You being a veteran.
Me being a vet, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. You know, the other thing that surprised me was Now, did you watch the second episode?
I don't have HBO. I don't like.
We'll have to get you. We'll have to get you the.
We'll sneak it to you.
We'll
give you the bootlegs.
The part with the Germans who were writing the letters to the black soldiers in World War II, saying, "Hey, it's better over here. When you go home, they're still gonna treat you bad. Over here in Germany, we don't do that.
And then the
you
white
should come and fight for
officer
us."
just spits on him.
Right, and it was, it's stories like that they kind of deal with in the history of things like that they kind of deal with politically. It's like, ooh, that's heavy.
It was,
and
heavy.
it's weird for me to be educated and entertained at the same time, and I am being entertained. I mean, it looks good. It's filmed well. The fight scenes are great, very visceral and violent fight scenes.
Even the music with it just hits. Like everything is almost perfect. Perfect.
I am incredibly impressed. The only thing I am worried about, since this is Damon Lindelof, we all know how Lost ended, so I'm worried that when it gets time to end the show,
he always knows how to start a mystery, though.
Right. Lost was amazing when it started, even though you figure out like in the third, fourth episode, if you pay attention, they're all dead. Ooh, spoilers! They're all dead. You were just watching that, weren't you? Sorry. I don't know what I just said. So anyway,
that was on the boycott list.
Yeah,
thank you, JJ.
Whatever. I'm like, wait, is there a red ball?
Was there a red ball in there?
I was just thinking, we have a red ball. JJ Abrams
I
theory.
didn't watch it because of I was pissed at JJ. He starts a great show, and then he starts something new and teeters out on that. I was big into Alias, and when he started Lost,
we should have a whole episode where we just kind of go into JJ Abrams and his red ball fetish.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
JJ goes into the same category that I used to put Todd McFarlane in, where I'd love to shake his hand and punch him in the mouth.
Yeah, in the throat. Jeez.
See, I understand like why he's never off subject. I'm gonna make this really quick. I understand like how football coaches, when they become really good, they have a coaching tree. JJ doesn't have a tree. Like, okay, I'm gonna leave this project. You come take it over. Okay, I'm done. That's all.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. See, now you got me thinking. Was there a red ball of something in Lost? I think there was toward the end when they were time traveling, wasn't it?
I don't remember that show anymore. I remember the first 2 seasons.
There might have been.
I think
something.
I blocked everything
because you had the red
that.
ball in Alias. You had the red stuff in Star Trek. You had what was it in?
Don't worry, there'll be a red ball in
Force Awakens.
Star Wars. I'm telling you, there'll be a red ball.
I'll do a little looking.
It was the entire. Well, no, that was the Last Jedi. I was like, it was the entire red room where
there'll be a red ball in Episode 9. I bet
I'm sure.
I'm
sure there will. He has this thing for the red ball. I don't know what his thing is for red balls, but
and the Beastie Boys.
And the Beastie Boys.
Boys make their way into everything.
Beastie Boys and red balls. Yes.
Actually, music brings me back onto Watchmen. I don't quite get at the end of the episodes, the music choices. I don't quite see how those.
I also think that also could be like an HBO thing.
No, I think they have.
I feel like they chose it for a reason. I
They
just don't know what
choose
that
stuff for a reason. I mean, if you go back and you look at a show like Deadwood, every song that they chose or whatever meant something. Or not even Deadwood. You can go even newer to Westworld, right?
Great show.
Like in Westworld, when it first started, right, every episode they started with that mechanical piano playing a song, but it's usually a modern song.
Right.
And then the lyrics or the feeling or the theme of that song had something to do with that episode. Right? And then they would play an altered version of that song, like in the credits, whatever, to kind of get you to make that connection. I think that those songs mean something. We just haven't put those two things together yet. Like John was saying earlier about people being upset about Ozymandias and like what's going on there and blah blah blah. All will be revealed, and I just think we're being strung along until
it's the second episode.
Yeah, just the second episode.
I get it.
So I'm sure there's something there that we are missing, but because we don't have all the pieces.
Because the dude doing the play with the clones.
Yeah, that's Ozymandias.
That was Ozymandias?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jeremy Irons is playing Ozymandias.
Ah.
I know I'm saying that incorrectly, but I don't care.
Okay. I didn't put that together.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't get it the first one, you get it in the second one with his obsession over the Doc Manhattan origin story. Because that's what that whole play is.
Right.
Right, is him basically, because he's obsessed with Dr. Manhattan and him putting on that whole origin story play with his clone servants. So
I just thought it was creepy.
It is creepy. It's very creepy, but it's very disturbing. So what's the time frame there? Yeah, when he lights a boy on fire, real tears.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah.
It'll be too late. I'm already spoiling half the episode.
I forgot. Yeah, go home and watch it. Yeah, so I'm really feeling it. I like it a lot. I'm very interested to see where it goes. But I'm worried about how Damon Lindelof is going to end it.
Maybe he's learned his lesson. It was a long time ago that he did Lost.
I hold a pretty long TV grudge, as Rich can attest to. I hold a really long TV. Like, Ronald D. Moore, love the guy, but every project he does now, I'm worried about the ending is just going to completely flake out. After Battlestar, I'm like, come on, bro.
Oh, wow. That just hurt.
It was almost as bad as Lost's ending. That's how bad it was. I mean, it was bad.
I would say Lost could not have even been as close to that.
Yeah, no, that one was bad.
Worst.
That was probably one of the worst TV show endings I've ever seen. Yeah. I'm trying to think of something worse.
Game of Thrones.
Ooh, good point. Speaking of Game of Thrones. Segue. Did you see? So HBO had 2 Game of Thrones prequels that they were working on.
Right. Yeah.
One was for The Long Night, and the other one was about the Targaryens.
Mm-hmm.
They shot a pilot for the one for The Long Night. They had it cast. They had showrunner. I want to say it was Naomi Watts who's leading that one up. They watched the the pilot and they were like, "Yeah, that's a hard pass from us. That's a no for me, dog. Out of there." And then they immediately, without even having a pilot, greenlit the House Targaryen one. I think it's going to be called House of Dragons. That talks about the Targaryens and the Targaryen history and how they came to power.
It's so good. So good.
John, as you can see, is a big fan, and he's going to stick with George R.R. Martin. So John will be our expert on that show.
Game of Thrones is one of the things he's going to hold a long grudge on.
I'm going to hold a long grudge on that one, brother. And it has nothing to do with just how badly the show ended. I have an issue with Martin not getting these books done and giving me all kinds of BS excuses for why these books ain't done.
He's busy counting his money. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's veered off onto, this makes a lot more money than writing my book.
Hey, look. And I know it's rude, and people have said it due to his girth and aging and advanced age. People are worried that his health will not hold up, and that
he looks healthy to me.
Man, please.
Okay,
stop it. I'm a big dude too, and I'm telling you, this cat sweats gravy. I'm telling you, he ain't. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, he spits cheese whiz. This dude is not healthy in any way, shape, or form. People are worried that he is going to die before he finishes these books.
And doesn't he have something in his will where nobody can finish it if he dies?
Yes. His notes are complete, but if he dies, you can't finish his books. Like, Herbert's son. Oh, what's the dude's name? Frank Herbert's son, I can't think of his son's name. Is it Brian Herbert? So he wrote Dune, right? And he wrote all the Dune sequels, and then he had notes for a lot more. When he died, his son Brian, I think it is, took his notes, and he was allowed to then take his dad's notes and write the other books that his dad had plans to write. There was a couple prequel series.
Which one is going to be on HBO Max?
Well, I can't wait to see that. There's a couple prequel series and an afterward series. So there's a lot of content. There's tons of books in the Dune universe that have been written by Brian Herbert after Frank Herbert died. Were they as good as his dad's? No. When Brian Herbert first started writing those, I don't know what he was doing before he was a writer, but he wasn't good at it. He was a better whatever he was doing before. He's much better now. But I mean, so Martin is saying that you can't take his notes and finish his books. He does. When he dies, he wants it to die with him, and it looks like that's what's going to happen.
I think that's his plan. Because why would you piss on your own legacy? If you write something bad, there's no coming back from it. If you say, there just wasn't the inspiration to finish it the way that I wanted to do it, I think that would be easier for him to live with than if he wrote something, if you George Lucased it and like,
Ooh.
You know what I mean, though? I mean, because George took this universe that he created and changed the world of movies and storytelling and just crapped all over it. By saying, hey, I'm going back to my roots. And then he just, like, destroyed his own world.
True story.
And maybe his plan for the ending was the ending for the show. And after he saw the backlash,
yeah, I guess I better work on that.
Maybe I better not finish it.
Yeah, okay, well, I didn't appreciate the workshop then. Should have workshopped that idea in private and with a few, close group of friends before you put that on TV, number one. Number two, because apparently they did see his notes. He did share his notes with Weiss and Benioff and said, "This is how these are how everybody going to work out. This is where everybody's going to work out."
You call them by their last name instead of the double D's.
Yeah, no, ain't doing it. Because no, ain't doing it. Because so he said, "This is how all the characters are supposed to end up." Really, that was your plan? Looking at how some of those characters ended up, really, like, so yeah, me and Game of Thrones are. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't know if I could just do another Game of Thrones series, and I hate prequels anyway. I really dislike prequels. I am so sick of prequels. I wish that type of storytelling in TV show and movie making would just go away and die out. Tell me what happens next. Tell me how Bran fixes Westeros. And now, 50 years later, show me an old Bran and, recast everybody as old people and be like, hey, something else bad happens and gets screwed up. And then this other group of people comes along. Or 200 years later. Show me something else. Like, what happens next? I don't want to see what happened before.
That's the fear of the corporate guys going, people don't really know about that, but they know about the dragons. They were interested in the dragons, so
See, tell the story about John is all about it. John is all about it.
Dance of the Dragons is so good. But
you'll notice, like, John almost passed out waiting for George R.R. Martin, just even thinking about George R.R. Martin finishing the book earlier. Yeah. He was over there fighting it. I thought he was going to fall out.
I don't read, really. I listen to my books now. I don't read anymore. So.
And as a audiobook narrator, I appreciate that a great deal. Stop reading. Everybody listen to books. Buy audiobooks, please. Thanks.
For the record, anybody who thinks that Othello's really not going to watch if there's like a new Game of Thrones story to come out, that's not true. He is going to watch it. And I heard you right off.
Star Trek. So done with Star Trek. Yes. You are going to hold that over my head until the day I die.
Till the day you die. Because it was just so funny hearing it come out of your mouth. And you were so worked up when you said it, too. And I'm like,
yeah.
When's Discovery come out? I ain't doing it. I'm not watching it. I'm out. I'm not, screw them.
Fair enough. I did. But you know what? Game of Thrones ain't Star Trek. Number one. Will Game of Thrones have that kind of longevity? Nope.
I think they burned.
I don't think they will.
Completely burned that bridge.
Yeah, they did.
It's so bad because you were you were carrying the water for them pretty hard when.
Yeah, I'm not
before season 7, 8.
Like when I had.
I think a lot of people were.
The thing is that gonna come back to bite the double D's? I'm just gonna say it.
You just like to say it.
Is that gonna come back to bite them now? Because honestly.
No,
they wouldn't have got that $250 million paycheck if it was coming
deal with Netflix.
I mean, they did, and that's corporate. But will us as consumers be like, I'm look forward to this, but I'm gonna keep it at a distance until I see.
No, we're gonna watch it. I'll tell you what, because I don't know what Netflix has up their sleeves that they want those guys to do. I'm trying to think of who has Narnia. Who has Chronicles of Narnia? Is it Amazon?
No, that's Disney.
Or Netflix. Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% positive.
No. Walden Media used to have it. I don't think Disney has it anymore.
I was almost sure that was part of it.
We'll have to look that up. There's something that Netflix is cooking that they want those. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Their vision for what they did for the books that were written was amazing.
They're good as long as they got a blueprint.
Was amazing. That show was beautiful. Expensive, but beautiful.
Until they lost the blueprint.
Until they lost the blueprint. So whatever it is Netflix has in mind for them to do, I'm sure will be amazing and beautiful and well done. I think I have a bigger problem with Martin and the Song of Ice and Fire series itself just not being done. And as a fan of those books, just being pissed off at the creator of that world, which, feels to me like he's just short shifting the fans of those books. And so that kind of bleeds over into this bad taste I have in my mouth over this horrible ending of the show.
It wouldn't have ended so badly if he had...
No, it wouldn't have. It would have been amazing because they would have had that blueprint.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not his... Part of it is his fault. He could have been done by now. I don't care. Anyway.
I read something that said why he's not done. Because he started with, this many branches of the tree, and as he wrote, these branches made branches, and those branches made branches, and those branches made branches, and now he's got to figure out how to make all those branches go back together, and he doesn't know how to do it.
So, excuses. Got it. Thanks. That doesn't work for me either. I don't care. I'm like, me and him we're good. We're good. We had our time in the sun. It was great. I have officially divorced myself from that fandom. I'm not even. And this isn't like the Star Trek thing. Like when I came in here, the Star Trek thing, I was so mad about Discovery and some other stuff with Star Trek. I was so hot. That was irrational. Just reactionary thinking on my part, right? This, I've had time to sit and marinate in this mess. I got people to read those books. I read those books years, and I'm not one of the people who read the books back in the day and had to wait 6 years between books 5 and 6, or 4 years between books 4 and 5. They were all out when I read them, and 5 was out, and I got other people to read those books. And now they're looking at me like, dang, dude. I'm like, I left. I don't know why you still there.
So, okay, I can fix this problem for George. This is seriously all he has to do, because he knows all these points of what is supposed to happen, but doesn't know how to put it in a cohesive story. So what he should do is like one of those books back in the day where you pick what happens
next.
Choose
your own adventure book. Yeah, choose your own adventure book.
just put all the points in a book, and then
just let me choose.
And then just go around wherever you want.
What was that show? Bandersnatch?
Yes, on Netflix. You can choose your own adventure movie.
You can Bandersnatch it.
Which was brilliant.
It was actually really good,
technology-wise. But yeah, I'm cold on the whole thing just thinking about it. Like, Star Trek to me has always been that thing. It's always been that thing for me, and it's always given me that tingle. Like, Star Trek and Star Wars have always been my two favorite universes. Well, that and X-Men. Marvel. And Game of Thrones doesn't do that. Game of Thrones doesn't do that for me anymore. Good. I'm like, man, I want to see how, if they come out and they say, well, instead of the prequels, we're going to do sequels, and we want you, hey, here's Sam and, was it Gilly's son, grown up. This is his adventures. Now we're going to make him the focal point. Let's talk about his adventures and what's going on. Hey, look, he's going to meet some crazy chick from across the wall on an adventure. Ooh, that just happens to be Jon Snow's daughter. Oh, what? So then what happened to Jon? And where's her mom? And all. there's so much, you know what I mean? Like, they could go forward and do something else, and they're not. And I hate prequels.
They're not going to do it because they
don't even know how Game of Thrones was supposed to end.
They screwed the pooch when they got off the blueprint. The prequels got a blueprint. So they're going to go back to the blueprint.
Not feeling it.
And stick to it.
And I'm tired of prequels. Just start there then. I'm just over prequels. And that might be George Lucas's fault.
George Lucas's fault. He's the first one.
That might be a lot of George's fault. Sorry, but those movies are not good.
Maybe it's just bad if your name's George.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That is a very astute observation, Aaron. Thank you. So just don't watch TV shows or movies by guys named George, and that should be okay. There you go. Watch the original stuff. Then if they come back out later and say, hey, there's something else, it's a hard pass from me, dude. Hard pass. So John will be watching House of Dragons. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I'm bad about torturing myself. I'll probably...
I think
I'm still watching Titans, even though I know it's bad.
Why?
But
For
I
the
still watch
love
it.
of God, why?
I don't know. When I get into something, even if it's bad,
I'm the same way. I'll watch a bad
the
movie all the way
CW
through.
shows are
Once
bad,
hit
but
that
I
point
still
where I'm
ride
invested-
along
Yeah,
with
but this
it.
is a TV show that's bad. And he's still riding with it. Do you still watch all the CW shows? Wow.
I don't follow Black Lightning and I don't follow Batwoman. I gave her an episode and I didn't.
She doesn't want
go
you to
any
follow
further
her
than that.
anyway.
But I wrote I wrote along with Flash and I wrote along with Arrow and I wrote along with Legends of Tomorrow, and they all started going bad, but I'm already in. I'm already invested. I still stick to it.
I think they have so many properties out. I don't understand. I
And
think
more
if
coming.
they would have condensed it down, kind of like what they're doing with Arrow this year, 8 episodes. They didn't need to spread out to 20, 24 episodes.
It's going to get worse. They're talking about, before we end real quick, they're talking about a Superman and Lois TV show on the books, a new Green Arrow and the Canaries show with Green Arrow's daughter and the two Canaries. There's rumors of a
Worst
Green
part
Lantern
of the
TV
new
show,
era.
which ain't going to work.
That's going to be on HBO Max.
Oh, is that going to be on Max?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of HBO Max, before we get out of here, Doom Patrol Season 2 is going to premiere on HBO Max. So, hey, DC Universe,
You're dead.
You're screwed.
You're dead.
And on that note,
That nail's been going in the coffin for a little while.
just banging it in there. Until we see you next week, remember, tell them F you.